welcome to my pajama party. How are you this evening? Well, I'm wearing my pajamas just for you, for your entertainment. And let's have fun and play tonight. Buddy's doing the huffy puffy in the background. So if you hear the it's because he's a huffy puffy puppy. You might even hear the dryer going. Because I figured, what better time to do my laundry and clean my linens, because I am on the day of washing my sheets. It's bed linen cleaning day. So I have a couple things I want to chit chat. Just, shoot the breeze. What are you all up to tonight? Let me know in the comments what you're up to. Are you in your jammies? Join me in your jammies. It's join me in your jammies night. Yes, I'm wearing a onesie. So the last time I saw Brenna, she was wearing her onesie, and I said, why didn't you coordinate with me, sister? You gotta coordinate with me. I told you I've got a couple more onesies in the back. So they come from the days of ridiculously authentic, and maybe I'll have to do a giveaway or something, or maybe if anybody wants one, I can sell some. I have to look at the sizes and what I do have. But meanwhile, on the other front, we need to connect with one another more now than ever before. Don't get caught up in anything that's going on outside of your personal bubble. This is where I'm at right now. Overalls works too, Carl. Something dropped in for me the other day that I think is really important. Do you want to hear it? Am I just being goofy? It's more simple, or that's not even proper English, by the way. It's simpler than we're making it. It's simpler than we think. Buddy, hey, that's enough. How's my mental health? My mental health is fantastic, actually. I feel really strong and in my core and my center knowingness. And if you watch my last video, I spoke about how important it is to know your truth. Because when you know your truth, nothing outside of you is going to catch you off guard. When you own your shadow, nobody can hold that shit against you either. So thank you. I love my jammies. They're a little bit warm because of this synthetic material. Seriously, I think he just wants attention. Animals do it too. They make noises because they know that it'll get attention. No different than kids, I'm just saying. They learn how to manipulate. It's called getting their needs met. And then if they don't learn otherwise, they grow up to adults and keep using the same coping mechanisms that have gotten them the attention that they wanted in the past. We're all culprits of it. If you haven't recognized that you're an adult and you think that your needs aren't being met, or that your needs weren't met as a child, and you haven't recognized that you are the one who can meet those needs now, then you're not doing the work. But the moment you recognize you're the one who's here to take care of you as an adult, and also the inner child that still cries out and says, look at me, I need attention. If you can see yourself when you're in those modes, there's nothing wrong with it. We all need attention once in a while, but just owning it takes the stress off. It's like owning it is like, wow, look at me, I'm doing this for attention. I'm trying to get needs met that I didn't even realize weren't fulfilled in some way, shape, or form. Oh, if you are out there wondering what to do, the most important thing you'll ever do is work on you. Does anybody out there know what that looks like? It means doing the things that make you feel good. It means liking the skin you're in, finding ways to love yourself again, to own this being. You are a human being first. And you matter, and you're worthy, and you don't have to prove yourself. All you have to do is claim yourself. I was talking to my sister a couple nights ago, and I said, it's really simple, and we don't even realize it's right in front of our faces. All the truth we need to know is right in here. All the stuff going on around us is causing any old traumas, just anything that you have unresolved in your life. It's bringing it to the surface. This whole past year has been all about shaking up your shit. And when the stuff is stirring, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't look good. It doesn't taste good, sound good, smell good, or anything. And so we have to be willing to go within and recognize, oh my gosh, this rubbed an old wound. And I need to confront that. Not what's going on around me or not the next person who approaches me. Need to focus on what the root cause is and unravel the story. Unravel the story around why you act the way you act when that wound is rubbed. When someone puts salt in your wound, you don't shoot the messenger. You got to look at the actual wound. It's not going to heal itself through reacting toward another for making you aware of it. See how relationships and engaging with other people are really there to serve you? I like Joel Osteen. He says, bless your enemies because they raise and lift you higher. And what he means by that is they're the ones that challenge you the most. The people you want to point fingers and call, bad, or they did this to me or they did that to me. Those are the people that are meant to make you better. And if you're talking shit or you're pointing fingers, instead of recognizing that that person is putting fire under your ass, that person is stimulating you in a way that it's stirred emotion. I don't care if you're just saying, oh, I don't care. The fact that you talk about it or the fact that you even bring up when someone does something to you. First off, number one, that says, I'm a victim of my circumstances. I've given my personal power away to someone or something outside of myself. Number two, when you're blaming someone else for your behavior, it's not owning or taking personal responsibility. You're not being accountable. That is irresponsible. I know a lot of people don't ever want to hear that. Well, they did this to me. You don't understand. I know this because that was what I used to say. That person did this to me. Because I was conditioned through witnessing how the media and other people that I had been around, that was their story, and I took that on. I had to unravel those stories and recognize they weren't even mine. Most of us, if you're just now waking up to what's going on in yourself or the world, or you're going through a spiritual awakening or the healing work or doing the shadow work or whatever you want to call it, the biggest things that we go through are the unveiling of, oh crap, all these things I thought or believed, all these behaviors and patterns that I myself have been living, were all based on stories that weren't even mine. From the moment we're born, we're told everything. Nothing is like intuitive except for that purity that we do come in with. We are all still soul essence at a young age. I remember what it was like. I remember the naivete. I remember the source connection. I remember what it felt like when I connected to what I felt was a higher power, God, whatever you want to call it. And that stayed with me and stayed personal for me. But as life went on, I heard things like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or you can't trust that, and so this is the truth. And I was conflicted, as many of us and all of us tend to be, conflicted with external information versus internal heart and soul essence. You're taught from a young age not to trust yourself. And everything begins with trust, especially love. If you don't trust yourself, you're not going to be able to extend and trust others. Because if you haven't got the trust for yourself, everything around you is skeptic. It's susceptible to scrutiny. Because you're constantly going to have that eye of scrutiny. the distrust. Because when you distrust yourself, you're putting that out there to everything and everyone around you. You need to learn to trust yourself, to tap into your truth. And the only way to do that is to sit with the crap that we don't like. Because believe it or not, that is where our biggest gifts lie. In embracing our shadow, our shit, all the stuff we don't like about ourselves. When you own even your dark as well as your light, you're that much more powerful. Because then you're whole. You're not picking and choosing bits and pieces and parts of yourself. You're allowing everything to be seen for you. It doesn't matter if other people see it, they accept it. Who cares? It's none of your business, let alone theirs. The truth is, you have to be whole. And to be whole, it means embracing all parts of you. Seeing that everything serves. There are doctors out there that are specialized in parts of you, but most of us have come to realize that you can't take a body apart and just stick it in the departments with these doctors and they're going to figure out what the whole problem is, because 9 times out of 10, one symptom, 2 symptoms is indicative of many different things, and it's all encompassing. We are whole bodies, not bits and pieces and parts. We're mind, body, soul. And the sooner you're willing to connect the 3, the more powerful you will be. Because you are a human being, not a human doing. And so the truth of all this comes down to, are you willing to look within and to embrace every aspect of yourself that resonates as truth? Like or dislike, you have to learn to love even the things you dislike and to also embrace it all. You can't separate. You just, when you deny yourself and reject yourself, any part of yourself, that is causing you the suffering. That is causing you the pain, because there's that part of you that's going, well, I'm not accepted. And you're telling yourself that because of that one aspect of you, you're not enough. You should be whole and enough as you are. So what dropped in, you really need to recognize that in order for you to step into your personal power, the healing work is all encompassing and taking on every aspect of you that you may have rejected in the past. When you're not willing to look at you as a whole, you fall short. And that's that internal suffering, because we want to be seen for all of who we are and not rejected for the little bits that we even dislike. And a lot of times people may have disliked the parts you think you like. So toss it up like a salad and just embrace it and just eat it up. Because guess what? We have so many flavors. And I wouldn't expect anybody out there to be just vanilla. Even if you claim to be vanilla, you've got to be a rainbow color of flavors. I'm just One of the big things that I have a concern with right now is because of the way platforms are leaning, it seems that we're not seeing people we used to see, no matter what platform you're on. Because they're creating this divide. If you didn't already notice this, whatever your attention is fixated on, whatever your focus is on, it's going to show you more of that. But you may notice you're not seeing content from people that you normally are used to. Or if you're like me, you're looking through your feed and you're going, well, geez, that's a day ago. That's 4 days ago. I'm seeing people's content from days ago. Not even seeing current. Every once in a while I'll catch somebody who posts immediately within a certain time. And I'm limiting my exposure to a lot of these social media platforms for just my own health and sanity. But I want to be here for those of you who are looking for some form of connection. And here's why. We are in times that kind of remind me of the speakeasies back in the day. I want you to consider the CIA declassified all these documents, all these studies, not recently, although people are talking about it this past year. It happened years ago. We're talking like 5+ years ago. And the truth of the matter is, there is no hiding anything. Everything is out in the open. It's just, what are you willing to see? Truth is always in front of your face. And when you know your own truth, you can recognize and discern the truth from the lies outside of yourself. But the only way you're ever going to see the truth is if you're willing to see it. And the truth can be shocking. It can be angering. It can cause a whole plethora of emotions. But you have to be willing to go through emotions. I mean, you were born in this human body. Why wouldn't you want to feel? Because when you numb the joy, you numb the pain. So if you're somebody out there who doesn't want to feel your pain, then you're never going to feel your joy. Because the more you're numbing it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Recognizing that the pain has pleasure and pleasure has pain is only a small portion of life. They've declassified all these documents and people are starting to look them up, which is really cool stuff. I mean, everything from the law of attraction and manifestation being real to aliens and UFOs and all that stuff that, hey, come on, really? I've personally never seen anything, but that's just me. And I really do believe that, why would we ever think there isn't some other form of life elsewhere or living amongst us? Just look at plants and animals around us. They look alien-like to most of us because they don't look like us. And we're comparing. How do you think you come up with a judgment? You're constantly comparing yourself and things that you believe and think. You're in constant comparison. So discernment versus judgment. Discernment is recognizing that, oh, this I recognize doesn't resonate with me. Judgment has a little bit more of a harsher tone, doesn't it? It's like, because we have to discern in order to choose, to make choices in life. We have to constantly compare what we know to what we're being presented with. And then discernment allows you to make educated choices. Whereas judgment, quite often, judgment doesn't actually lead to an action or a choice. It stands in its own. So according to many of these documents, they're saying things like, we live in a hologram. This is a holograph. We're living simulation. How many of you out there believe that? Do you agree with it? Bits and bytes and ones and zeros, maybe that's what makes all this up. We know that music has vibration. I haven't had a chance to delve into the documents. There's a lot to read. But at the same time, why do I need to read things that I'm aware of? I'm quite aware that we live in a virtual reality. I'm quite aware that when I go to sleep, I astral travel. That when I wake up in the morning, I realize, wow, that was so real. I feel like I was just coming back from that dream, like I was in another place. And I feel exhausted sometimes because I'm doing some serious work on the other sides. I don't know. That's just me. And I'm open to the possibilities. I'm not here to say, no, that couldn't possibly exist. I mean, you have to have an open mind. You have to have seen some crazy shit in your life. And at the same time, you have to be willing to be open that anything is possible. You believe in miracles, don't you? I do. In fact, I like that Yogi Bhajan used to say, I don't believe in miracles. I expect miracles. Because we are miracles. We are walking miracles. Life is a miracle. The fact that we're breathing without any thought, but if you can hone it down to breathing with consciousness, like conscious breathing, mindfulness, you can be that much more powerful. Because every time we breathe in, we're breathing in the Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the breath. Breath is God. God is breath. I know it couldn't get any more simpler than that. But even more simple than that is with this knowledge and awareness that government agencies are aware of these technologies that we have and that we're living, and they know how to reinforce the power of manifestation through mind control. Think about that. Of course they know. How do you think they're able to get away with what they've gotten away with? And we've let them. So imagine there is such a thing called the level of consciousness. There's a collective consciousness. The earth and all of us contribute to the level of vibration, that consciousness vibration on the scale of levels of consciousness. And David R. Hawkins has a great book, and he talks a lot about it. That was one of the most important books I ever read, was Power versus Force, the Hidden Determinants of Human Behavior. Because it lists all the emotions and where they calibrate on that level of consciousness. They knew. I want you to understand there's always an agenda, a hidden agenda about control. You can look at history. We saw throughout years of religious oppression, they didn't want people to be able to read. That scripture and Bibles, when they were in print, only certain people could read them. And that they withheld those books for years until they put them in print, only passing on the word by word of mouth. And how many times can you say a story and then it gets changed up the next time someone else changes it? Because ironically, and I know this is science, every time you tell a story from the last time you told the story. So if you didn't remember all the details, you're changing the story every time you tell it. So whatever story you decide to tell, each time you go to tell it, you're manipulating and changing it and don't even realize it, because you're not remembering the story from the original occurrence or when you came up with it. You're remembering the story from the last time you told it. So this level of consciousness. Now, yes, okay, let's go back to this agenda. There's a mass agenda because, again, it's always been about controlling the masses. It has been across all time, all history. Come on. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. You can do your research. See, here's the thing. People have been waking up for years. People have been doing the work to heal, to go beyond their traumas and find forgiveness and trust within, to extend the compassion out toward others. So with this level of consciousness, in this book it talked about how we had raised gradually, but I know that we had gone even further, because as many of you who have been doing this work know and feel intuitively that we had reached, I say that we had gone past the tipping point. How else could you come up with such a crazy B-rated movie this past year? Anybody? Anybody? Think about it. They had to scurry. They had to throw something out there to get you distracted, to keep you in fear, to separate and divide us. Here's the truth. Together we are more powerful. Even in yoga, we talk about combining, connecting, coming together in group consciousness. Group consciousness is how we raise the vibration of the planet. When you come together in a healing community to do any form of healing for yourself with others of like mind and intention, you are that much more powerful. Now, consider you get people together for violence. Same thing applies. You're expanding violence and that consciousness and that energy and that vibration. Is everybody able to wrap your head around this one? Because together we need to work on our intention around vibration and the energy that we bring to any space. We need to take personal responsibility every time we enter into group environments for the energy we bring in. I have a friend of mine that in front of their door when you walk up, it says, be aware of the energy you bring into my space. So essentially, be responsible. Be a good human. Show up as you want people to remember you. Be forgiving, loving, and compassionate toward others. If you see somewhere in them that they are bitter, resentful, or even slightly triggered, you don't even have to respond. You don't have to fix them. You don't have to help them understand. Just having compassion and recognizing that person is in a struggle or a crisis. Compassion first. Because the truth is we all need that. No matter what you're going through in the world, in your life, and what's going on around you, we all need to look within and find that compassion for ourselves and extend it out to others. Now more than ever. You know why? Because otherwise you're buying in and feeding the machine. Another brick in the wall. Think about the songs, the movies. They've either been helping you lean toward the violence or lean toward the peace. What path are you choosing in your life? Are you choosing to feed the machine and put another brick in the wall? What is a wall? The wall is the divide, the separation. Or are you leaning toward peace and knowing that when you do your work, when you show up to others, you're affecting the masses? You need to be more aware of how you are showing up and the energy you're bringing. And if you know people that you admire, who light you up, inspire you, spend more time with those people. Call them up and ask them, I need your energy. I need you to uplift and support me. Because that's what we all should be doing to begin with. We're here for one another. We just seem to have lost sight of that. That we need to unite more than ever because we are more powerful. When we come together, we are more powerful. When we're separated, we're easier to manipulate with fear. We're easier to tear down because we're not in the heart coherence. 6 feet, that's all about breaking the connection of our auras together, our magnetic fields. You all know when you feel someone's presence when they walk in the room. That's a powerful, energetic person. Whichever way they lean, because even powerful people with extremely powerful presences, whether it be good or bad, they can do both. You can be a positive influence with powerful energy, or even a mastermind of manipulation. It's all the same. It's the expansion of it and the intention of it. We all choose with wherever we put our attention and our energy. And the only way to win this game, y'all, you do your healing work. You keep working on elevating others. You be around people that you know you can uplift. If you're somebody who needs uplifting, seek out those who can help you feel more in your personal power and in your joy. Find those spaces, go there. Speak easy, what have you. This is all about silence. This is all about also taking away your identity as an individual. You need to get more around people who are going to bring you back to life. If you're not one of those people, if you're somebody who is struggling, you need others. You know it. And you know who I'm talking to. If I'm talking about you, you feel me. I know you feel me. I know more people that have told me, I'm done with this. I'm not doing it anymore. And you know why? Because even there's a point when even the human turns around and says, I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. 3 strikes. First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. And the third is the ultimate shame on, actually no more shame, it's fuck you. Everybody deserves a second chance, and we really need to be holding people in the higher vibrations. I don't want to hear myself go into negative tirades anymore. So my focus now, it's really easy to get caught up on the negativity train, y'all. If you're one of those people looking for things that are wrong, pay attention when you catch yourself doing that, because that's where you need to bring yourself back to what's going right. It's really easy to get on that train. It's easy to enable those who are like that. And you all know, if you have that one friend that when you talk to them, they're like, that ain't nothing. And they just try to one up the negativity. And it's like, I want you to try to focus on shutting that down and pulling out whatever positivity you can out of these people. If you know negative Nancys or Joes or whatever schmoes, find your compassion, take a deep breath. Don't attack them, don't react to them. Don't enable them either. If you are one of those people, you know I'm talking about you, but that's all good. Just be aware that you are. I've been there. I used to be like that. I could find shit was wrong. But in my mind, there were times where I also could rationalize and say, well, I'm always looking to solve things. So I'm looking for things that are wrong to solve. So, my mind is pretty damn clever. But the truth of the matter is, here's the deal. When you know better, you have a moral obligation to do better. You do. If you see where someone else is failing, it doesn't mean they're meant to be pointed out and called out. They're not there for your enjoyment of satisfaction of, look, you're wrong and I'm right. See, that's about being right, not happy. And that's just as low of a vibration. We don't need to be doing that. We need to rise above the bullshit. That has everything to do with ego and the fact that you probably were bullied in your childhood at some point, and so you think that's acceptable, because that's a form of bullying. Anytime we blame, shame, or point a finger at someone, it's a form of bullying. It's passive-aggressive. Sometimes it's aggressive. But the truth of the matter is, going back to when you know better, you do better. Focus in on all the awarenesses you've gleaned about yourself, knowing your truth. Put it into action now. For all of you all out there, and I went through this, if you haven't already recognized this in yourself, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We're not meant to wallow in it. We're not meant to shame or feel ashamed about it. But just in awareness of it, you have the opportunity to shift it, to reach inside and go, wow, okay, I see that old wound. Thank you for letting me know that you're still kind of there. But I'm going to shift and shake this out because it's time to move. Because when it's there and you recognize it, in the moment you choose to change it, it starts to disintegrate. It becomes dismantled. How do you dismantle fear and control and powers that are trying to force you to do things against your will? You dismantle it. And you have to start with you. To break the system, you have to break down your old beliefs. You have to break down all the conditioning that you yourself have bought into. And deal with the cognitive dissonance. I don't want to look at that because I don't want to find out everything I knew was a lie. Honey, we've all been lied to. And the sooner you're willing to look at the lies and unravel them and recognize that that wasn't your truth, that was not your story. Your story is yours to write. We all have to dismantle a lifelong history, his story, told to us by books, education systems, indoctrinating us into a system of do as I say, not as I'm told. Be a good doobie. Go along to get along. Don't rock the boat. Every time you give, you should expect something in return. Oh, and when you give something or do something, there's strings attached for anything that anybody does for you too. So there's all these unspoken yet adopted ideologies and beliefs. We need to that shit goes. That doesn't even apply anymore. All of that is where the lies begin. And it goes pretty damn deep. It goes really damn deep. Unless we were ever there back in his story or her story in the past, we have no idea. We only know what we've been told. And the victors are the ones who write history. So although we may think, the victors are the best people ever, genocides and mass killings and the annihilation of populations and indigenous and such. Why? would you trust the story told by those who did that type of behavior? When life is a big war zone and the war is on us, the prize is us. And the sooner we come together and recognize we have more in common than we have apart, that this is a war on us, using us against each other. Art of war, divide and conquer. The more you buy into all these labels and the fact that this one doesn't like that one, it doesn't make you better. It actually shows that you are buying into the lies. And I'm sorry, I know what it's like when you wake up from the bullshit. And it really pisses you off. It puts you in that state of like, how dare they? Because we wanted to believe they had our best interest at heart. We want to believe the best in the system, that they're there for us, that we vote, or even our vote. We think, we're told, but now everything's coming to the surface. Everything's coming to light. How can you not see the lies? Easy, because there's so many truths mixed in with the lies and so many lies mixed in with the truth. They're keeping you distracted. And unless you know your own truth, you cannot discern and see through it. So when they realized about I'd say November of last year, maybe even sooner, the summer before, when they realized we had crossed the tipping point of collective consciousness and we were evolving and growing and more people were waking up, and they still are, that when they recognized this, they started scrambling, going, oh my gosh, we have to stop this or we're going to lose control. Does anybody get me here? Am I talking on deaf ears? Am I the only one who sees this and knows this? In my heart and soul, I know everything's going to be okay. That's because I trust. I trust my intuition, myself, my truth. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what the best right next step is for everyone or everything, let alone myself. But I don't feel the need to stockpile toilet paper or to worry about, what's going to happen tomorrow. If anything, I know I've got a beautiful support network and beautiful people around me, and that when all things come down to it, you got to be involved with your community, your locals, your neighbors. Put your differences aside and be willing to be humble, to get to know the people closest in your immediate location. Maybe you don't get along with a neighbor. Maybe you need to reach out and make peace. Maybe it's time you extended the olive branches with people. Do you know it takes a lot of courage, whether you're right or you're wrong, or you're the person who started the whatever it was, or, we have families that don't speak to other families and people because of generational feuds or legacies of anger, and we're not going to talk to them. And that's not helping heal society or this culture or this world. The more we're willing to put our differences aside, and the more we're willing to put our differences aside, we're going to heal humanity a whole lot quicker. We're going to raise the level of consciousness a whole lot faster. When we do our own work, and then we're willing to hold others in their work, because not everybody's going to have the same pace of evolution and growth. People have to be honored where they're at, and they have to be held in the space of trust. Even if you don't see it happening, you have to also extend the compassion for their time and when they're ready. Because sometimes when you try to force or push someone into a healing mode, you create more of a crisis and they fall back even further. It's just that there's a trigger involved in there. And the ego does not like when other people point it out. Nobody does. If you do, let me know. Do you like it when people tell you when you're right or you're wrong, or that you need to do this or that, or you're on the wrong path and this isn't the life you should be living? We all have to figure it out for ourselves. Nobody has the perfect answer to anything in this life. But you are perfect as you are. And every moment you get an opportunity to grow and evolve and to learn, to love. You can go through the myriad of emotions all you want. It's all part of the human condition being. And it's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful to experience it all. If you don't have pain, how are you going to enjoy the pleasure? It all serves. Onesies and all. Onesie all. Onesies, onesies, onesies. So again, here is what I am proposing, a call to action. Reaching out, creating groups of people of like mind, coming together, doing meditation, doing yoga, doing breath work, sitting in awareness and talking about whatever comes up that you may need support, just for someone to listen to you. Do you know, being the listener, holding that sacred space for another to be seen and heard, that's just as powerful as the person speaking. And you're helping each other heal and evolve. And if you can do that for another person and another person can do that for you, that is what humanity is all about. That's how we grow and evolve in consciousness. Not fighting over who's right or who's wrong or who's this or who's that, or joining a sports team or a political party. That's all part of the game. Don't fall prey to it. Don't choose sides. Choose your fellow human. If I could impart anything upon anybody, put all the differences aside, because they're not even yours. They're actually all part of your indoctrination and programming. You were taught at whatever point, and you may not even realize, maybe you were watching television and they programmed you with the lies. I know for myself, when I look back through, I can see at points in my life where I bought into stories that I was told. I bought into the propaganda, the sensationalization, the idea that, oh my gosh, such and such. I'm human. But I'm always evolving. I'm always willing to hear something else, to challenge my beliefs, my thoughts, my stories. If you're unwilling to challenge what goes on up in here, this is going to run the show. Because when this is running the show, you are buying into your own dogma. That is the biggest addiction that we have, is our belief systems. Everything that goes on up in here. This is why I'm such a huge advocate for Beyond Addiction and the Kundalini Yoga teacher trainings, and just doing your own practice, a daily practice. For mental floss, you got to clean it out. Mental hygiene is important more than anything else. You know why? Because no matter what food you put in your mouth, you're not going to absorb anything. You're not going to get anything nutritious from the food, because your vibration is setting the tone. If you're talking shit to yourself up in here, the food that you're shoveling in your mouth is probably going to taste like shit, because where attention goes, energy flows, and you feed that energy, you're feeding yourself with the energy and the food at the same time. That's why many of you know I say, if you're going to cheat, enjoy what you eat. Don't beat yourself up over what you're eating and saying, I shouldn't be eating this. Whatever you're eating, you should enjoy. Feel the flavors. Feel the bursts. Be in gratitude the fact that you get to enjoy something so flavorful and yummy and whatever. Because that energy is going to affect you. And then it starts here. If you don't get control over this mind, it will master you, and you will be enslaved constantly in fight or flight, in these stress responses, which is unhealthy and creates dis-ease. In the rebirthing class today that I led, I was sharing part of the rebirthing was all about clearing out the subconscious. So that was the whole theme of it. And essentially, as part of the meditations that I'm guiding people through, I'm having you seek out your pain, seek out your fears, attack it, eat it. Because here's the thing, that pain, that fear only has power over you if you're giving it your power. But when you claim it and you take it and you take your power back, that pain is trying to get your attention. That fear is there for you to be guided. You need to dive in on that and pounce on it like a lion and eat it up. Let it fuel you. Let your pain be your motivation. Your body is always telling you on your mind. So if you have physical pain or mental pain, that's all coming from the mind. So fuel it. Use that. Feed yourself like this lion, like, I have pain. That's my power. Don't let it have power over you. Take the power back. We need to come back together. The only way to win is to unite. Together we stand. Divided we fall. The more we're isolated from one another, we're creating more of the machine. We're all humans and we're allowed to move freely. Inalienable rights are just the fact that you don't have to justify, you don't have to go along with man-made up stuff. They don't even know what the hell they're saying. They're just saying whatever they think they can get away with. And when you follow it, you're just showing them how easy it is for them to control. I don't know what else to say. Do you really want to be living under oppression? Do you want to really devolve our culture, our society? Or do you really believe in basic human rights and freedom and your ability to choose? Because I personally, I was in the military. I didn't serve to be told what to do. I dealt with that enough in the military and in government work. And I could tell you tons of great stories where the examples of power trippers and what we call abusing power happens all the time. And they get away with it all the time. Because, good old boy network. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. It's all about being part of the club. And the system is set up like that. The good old boys network, it's alive and well. It hasn't gone away. And all they do is try to get us to fight with each other instead of recognizing that they're the puppet masters. They're the ones playing off your emotions, playing off your fears, feeding off of us. You want to talk about vampires? They're feeding off of any negativity that we have. You want to be happy. You want to be in your joy. Get past that. We have to heal as individuals and collectively. That's my call to action. If you're not willing to do your own healing, you're doing yourself a disservice. Your healing matters. It matters to me. It matters to every single other person out there. I don't want anybody left behind. I want us to come together again. It sounds like a utopia of La La Land, but no, it isn't. It is completely possible, but you have to be willing to step into it. Do you want to live in misery? Are you really that comfortable there? Because I understand the addiction. I do. Because addiction, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you can satisfy at least 3 of those hierarchical needs, you can label it an addiction. Great example. So a lot of people don't understand, how do people live in abusive situations? How do people live in oppression? How do people live in misery but continue to say they want out and never make it out? First off, set and setting. You gotta change your scenery. If you're in the same environment, it's going to feed the energy, because the energy of the location and the settings and the environments that you place yourself in are going to affect your energy and the people around you too. So it'll reinforce wherever you're at. The only way you can get out of that is you have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone, because that's a change in energy in itself. It takes courage, and that's higher up on the scale of consciousness. Change is like death, though. Be ready, because when you start making changes, people fall out of your life. Shift happens. Shift happens. The more you're willing to do your own work and go through those uncomfortable sensations and feelings that arise, the happier you're going to find yourself. Addiction to the misery is only because of the familiarity, and it feels uncomfortably comfortable. Number one, it's significant. It makes me feel important because I can talk about how miserable I am. Yes, that's a thing. Second, it's a connection. So you can connect with other people and you feel like you're part of the same group if you all commiserate about the same thing. That's an easy way to reinforce and enable the behavior and keep you stuck in the same situation. You get together with a bunch of friends and you're all talking about the same misery. Bickering. That's not raising vibration. That's lowering it and keeping it low. And see, the thing is, it's consistent. So if you're in a consistent state of all this stuff, this misery, like, oh, this happens all the time. You see the pattern? You got to change things in order to change the pattern. That in itself, just there, is a constitution of an addiction. You're addicted to your drama. Just saying. We create our drama. We create our drama and our trauma. Because the past traumas that we haven't healed are just perpetuating us continuing to hold on to those instead of changing them and living without them. See, you could leave all that old trauma from your childhood and your past behind, but you have to be willing to let go of it, because it's a badge. We all walk around with all these little badges of like, oh, this really horrible thing happened to me when I was a little kid, and you're not a little kid anymore. You're an adult. And if you can unravel it, I can't tell you the best way in this setting, but the thing is that when you're willing to change, the shift will happen. But it's a choice. Nobody's going to force you. Nobody can do the work for you. You have to be the one to do it. And you can't do it for anybody else. Please stop trying to fix other people. All that is a distraction from doing your own work. When we're out there, oh, I need to help other people do their work, and oh, I can help them fix their stuff, thinking that's going to fix your life, because that's an undertone of the whole, let me help someone else because it makes me feel like it's helping me in some way, shape, or form, in a way I was never able to help myself. We do that. Been there, done that. I only can speak from experience, so if I'm telling you something, it's probably something I've done. Yep, I own all of it. We're all clowns. We're all players. You know, we can have fun, or we can take ourselves so darn seriously. And I've done that plenty of my life. I did. I took myself so serious about things, and I'm like, whoa, you need to get over that. You need to chill the heck out. Me and my sister, I wish I could have my little sister here to have like videos. We play off of each other and we laugh. We laugh so hard, our bellies hurt. And I laugh at her and say, you're just jiggling. No, I love my sister. We have fun. Find people you can have fun with. Go out and play again. Find your inner child. That inner child's feeling suffocated. If you're not in your joy, you're not going out and doing things that make you feel good, you're basically suppressing again that poor little inner child that says, pick me, I just want to play. Play. Let me out. Let me out. Let her, let him out. And if you subscribe to other pronouns and stuff, whatever that is, let yourself be you. You be you, dude. You be you, boo. Nobody else can tell you what that is. Just honor where you're at, wherever that is. So last night, I watched a movie I hadn't watched in a long time. And so I'm going to say, if you've never seen this movie, I encourage you. Go on your computer. I will maybe pop a link on the bottom here. Pump up the volume, pump up the volume, pump up the volume, dance, dance. Actually, it's not that song, it's the movie. Pump Up the Volume is from the year 1990 with Christian Slater. Anybody seen it? Freaking amazing. Love that movie. It's a very underrated movie that basically comes from my generation of the 80s. And I was an 80s child. I was born in 74. You can do the math. I'm 46. I'm not ashamed of my age, and I don't feel like I have to hide it. I feel pretty good for my age. Pump Up the Volume, 1990. It was Christian Slater and Samantha Mathis. And this was one of the... It's kind of like Footloose. If you saw Footloose, Footloose was about the dancing. This was about your voice. This was about being a troublemaker when they wanted control. Just watch this movie. Pirate Radio. Hard Harry was the name that Christian Slater's character is in the movie. And he just talked about what he was feeling and just made up stuff to get a rise out of people. And then he started sharing things that were going on in the school. He unveiled the corruption in the school system. And it became an issue of the FCC, and they wanted to blame him for someone committing suicide and all these other crazy things that in the movie, the average person has to step back and go, wow, what's the message in this movie? What is it trying to tell us? That just because you speak up about corruption, that you should be penalized? Speak your truth. Speak up. You be you. Use your voice. Hearts together, united. We need to be close, because when we're within the same bubble and we come together, we're more powerful. When we're separated, I'm telling you that you are easier to manipulate and control that way. And when you're in fear, you're more willing to give up your rights and your security for this illusion of safety. Thinking someone else is going to protect you. That's the biggest illusion ever. The biggest farce and lie out there. FCC is the Federal Communications Control, right? Isn't that what that stands for? So I encourage you to go watch this movie. It's a nice walk down memory lane for me. Good music. Everybody knows that the game is over. Everybody knows. You have to be willing to look at your own shit and not allow the external world to catch you off your guard. Again, I'm going to tell you that when you do your healing work and you know your inner truth and you can trust in you first, there are no lies that can catch you off your guard or knock you off your rocker. The truth always comes out. It always reveals itself. You know why? Because it's more exhausting to keep up a lie than to stand in your truth. There's more power in truth, and lies are about force and manipulation. It's all deception. When one lie is uncovered, you have to follow the trail. You must be willing to be like the rabbit, jump down that hole. Follow that white rabbit, people. There are many holes to jump down, but the truth is inside of you. Follow your own rabbit down your own hole. You're more powerful than you're giving yourself credit. Don't be afraid. Find your courage, reach within, and stand in your truth. Stand in your power. Don't let anybody knock you off your pedestal, your rocker, or your truth. I love you so much. Having a wonderful night. Get your onesies on. Maybe we'll do this another time. I love you.